Hello, MavMind Collective, and welcome to another episode of the Hypnosales Show. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 steps to roll out a plan. Have you ever had to roll out a plan to your entire team, and maybe you're a little concerned that maybe some people on the team might not be comfortable with this plan, or everyone on the team is affected by the plan somehow, but you still got to roll it out and you need them to execute on the plan anyway? It's tough as a leader, or even if you're on a team like that and you've seen your manager or your leader trying to roll out a plan and maybe it didn't go right. It was kind of awkward because maybe the communication wasn't there, and it was confusing and mysterious. Well, I'm going to tell you that is exactly what you want to avoid doing. You do not want to create confusion or mystery when you roll out a plan, because at the subconscious level, confusion and mystery just makes you go into a fight or flight mode. You either get angry at that there's a plan being rolled out, or you just ignore it. You flight, right? You run away and you just ignore it and you just pretend like there's no plan being rolled out. Or you might freeze, right? Fight, flight, or freeze. You might freeze and then you just don't know what to do with this plan, and you don't know what your part is. So you want to avoid being mysterious or confusing when you roll out a plan to your team. And so I've come up with 5 steps. These are pretty much the 5 steps I use, and it's a MavMind type of approach because it addresses all that subconscious, uncomfortable awkwardness of rolling out a plan and makes it really easy. And I've used these steps successfully myself with my teams that I've managed over the years. So hopefully you'll get some value out of this, and you might want to subscribe so we can, you can continue to follow this channel and get other lessons in the future, especially around teams and around subconscious behaviors and how you can take advantage of that in your workplace with your team as well. Okay, so the first step, number 1, is you always want to share the plan individually with each member of the team. Okay, now if your team is very large and maybe you have leaders that have their own teams below them, then you can just share it with the leaders. But I always like to share the plan with each individual person during my one-on-ones with them each week or every other week, or whenever I regularly have my one-on-ones. I share the plan ahead of time and I give them a sneak peek into the plan that I want to roll out. And the reason I want to do this is I want to get their feedback. I want to seek their feedback individually. So that's step number 2. So share it with them one-on-one privately first, and then during that one-on-one or after, you can let them look at it and then tell them, hey, share your feedback with me, your recommendations of any changes I might want to consider in this plan. Share it with me after the one-on-one. So you don't have to do it on the one-on-one, but you need to share it during the one-on-one with them, and then set the expectation with them that they can think about it and then get back to you with any recommendations or feedback. So those are the first 2 steps you want to do. And the reason, like I said, is you want to have them, not be surprised when you roll it out to the team. They get a sneak peek. They get to have their reaction to it first, of like whether they like it or don't like it, and you can kind of help manage them through that mystery or that confusion. Answer questions for just them only. They won't feel intimidated to ask because it's just you and them together alone. So they're probably going to be more likely to ask you open questions, and questions that are really concerning them about the plan. And then you can say, okay, well, tell me more about that. Help me understand. How could I make this better? How can I improve this? What's your recommendation for this plan? If you were me, ask them to switch places. If you were me, how would you do it? And just really listen to them. Now, in reality, sometimes there's plans that you roll out that you can't change. You're going to have to roll it out the way that it is. However, when you're having the one-on-one, they may not know that. So you want to help them to feel like maybe they might have some influence on the plan. Let them be open and comfortable to share with you whatever their thoughts are, whatever their critique is, whatever they think isn't going to work, or what they don't like. That's really why you're doing that one-on-one. You want to let them share openly without judgment of other people, so they can criticize you in private, which I always talk about, right? Praise in public, but criticize in private. Let them criticize your plan in private. Listen to them. Don't promise you're going to make any of the changes that they suggest. That's key. Don't say anything like, okay, I'll do that. Just say, okay, what else? What else? What else? Just keep asking until they run out and they go, nope, that's it. Those are the things I like. Those are the things I don't like. about it, I would change it this way. And what that's called when you do that, it's called fingerprinting, or at least that's what I call it. I've learned that from some really good mentors that have taught me that you really want to get people's fingerprints on things that you are going to roll out, like a plan or any kind of decision or any kind of thing. You want them to fingerprint it so they'll own that plan with you when you roll it out, because they'll feel like they have a piece of it, of themselves, in the plan. They helped you correct a thing. Now, if they have a minor thing that you don't mind changing, and you're like, yeah, it's a good idea, I'm going to change, I'll move it to that, I'll change that around, if it's go ahead and tell them and acknowledge that minor thing that you'll change if you're comfortable and you feel like you have the right to change it around in the plan. But don't feel like you have to say yes to everything they suggest. Just use that with, discern that and make your decision on using your best judgment in the moment. But really, it's about getting their fingerprints on the plan with you, so when you roll it out publicly to the team, everyone feels like they were a part of creating the plan. And that's the third part, is you share it with the team. Once you've done it individually and got everybody's fingerprints, or as many fingerprints as you can, then you roll it out to the team and let everybody know. And then you give credit to anyone that you got something from, and try to give everyone some credit about their feedback. Hey, Fred gave me some feedback, it was really good, and so we're going to do it this way. And Sally gave me some of this other feedback over here. And just like praise them in the public setting of the team for giving you good feedback, good recommendations, so they again feel like they're part of it, and that you're acknowledging them publicly for contributing and being a leader with you in building this plan and kind of shaping the plan that you're rolling out. So that's very, very key to do that. Now, the fourth part here is you also want to create what's called a RACI, an RACI, and it stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. So those are the four different communication roles that you have in any kind of plan that you roll out. So that it's actually a chart that you can make, a grid, where what you're going to do is you're going to put the different roles as columns, different roles, each role that someone might have in the plan. It could be their roles in their job. It could be a role that you have specific to the project that you're rolling out the plan for. And you have each column be the role, and then each row in the grid, so think of it like a spreadsheet, right? Each row is going to be a particular task or a particular workflow or some element of the plan that needs to get executed. And then what you do is you go through the RACI and you check box in the grid where they intersect. Which role is responsible for this task or this workflow or this particular item getting done in the plan? Which role is accountable for getting it done? Which role is consulted as it's getting done or before it gets done? And then who's just informed about it being done? Okay, so because that's really what you got to consider when you're rolling out a plan or having any kind of project. There's always somebody responsible, accountable. Someone is consulted. One or more people are consulted about it for their input, and then most people are informed. Okay, most people are informed, if not everybody. So you want to create that RACI, and then you want to make sure you share that with the team as well, and then kind of make sure everyone agrees that that's where the check boxes go, and that those that are responsible for the right things, the correct tasks, the correct workflows. Whoever is accountable is also correct. And then who's consulted and who doesn't really care to be consulted, who needs to be consulted, make sure those are checked. And then, like I said, most everyone is informed, but there could be occasional tasks that certain people are like, I don't need to be informed about that particular thing, so you don't have to tell me about that when that happens. So then you would uncheck those boxes. But that's a very clear, concise way to communicate. It's like a tool to communicate to the team. This is what we expect, what we're expecting. This is what we all agreed on. Here are the people that are going to make this happen and be involved with it, the plan being executed and completed. Okay, that's really what you're doing. And then the fifth and final step: hold each other accountable. This is, again, a persuasive word. At the subconscious level, when you use the word accountable, none of us really argue with that word. We won't argue with being held accountable. If I say, I want you to be accountable, I need you to hold me accountable, typically we're not going to argue with, I don't want to be accountable, you be accountable. No, we all are accountable for getting our piece of the plan executed. So even as the leader, you need to tell the team and make it very clear to the team You can hold me accountable. I need you. I expect you to hold me accountable for my part in this plan, in the execution of this plan, as well as how much I'm going to hold you accountable as your leader, as your boss, manager, right? Because they kind of already expect you to hold them accountable. But make sure you tell them that they can hold you accountable too, to make sure the whole plan gets completed, or that you get your task if you have specific tasks that you have to be accountable for that's specified in the RACI chart, okay? So it makes it seem more fair, it makes you more democratic, and ultimately it creates the ultimate success of rolling out any plan that you have with your team. So make sure you share it privately with them first, get their feedback, recommendations, get their fingerprints on it, share it publicly, give everybody credit for their different input and recommendations, create this RACI, this RACI chart with showing who's responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. And then at the end, just make sure you hold everyone accountable and make sure they know that they can hold you accountable as well as the leader for a perfectly executed plan every time.
Thank you for watching. I know you find value in these videos, didn't you? Now, if you, like me, are in a customer-facing role, you want to get better every day at what you do, but you don't have to watch another video if you don't want to.